Anyway, so going back to this dream I had just this past December, in the dream, I'm at a conference with Leonard Ravenhill, and he and we were doing tag team ministry. And someone asked me how I knew Leonard Ravenhill, and I said that we had traveled together several times, which obviously in real life, that's not actually true. But I think, again, I think it was symbolic. And in the dream, I looked at Leonard Ravenhill's pointer finger, and it had a small cut on it. And at that moment, when I saw the cut, I could see there was a little blood coming out. And I saw very seductive vampires attracted to this blood, and they began to feed and draw out the blood from the finger. As I observed this happening in the dream, I saw more closely at his face, and it suddenly began to morph and change into someone I didn't recognize. And it was almost like beastly. And when I looked at him in this, as his face appeared in this, with a beastly look to it, I knew by revelation he was now involved with horrific immoralities. Even I knew of the illegal kind, probably having to do with, underage sort of abuse kind of things. And so just a quick couple thoughts on that is that I don't believe this dream was literally about the person Leonard Ravenhill, or having to do with his personal sins or anything like that. I really felt like it was symbolic. And so I think Leonard was representative of the call to prophetic purity, to holiness, to real prayer that can produce revival. And then seeing his pointer finger cut, I believe, was symbolic of seeing the prophetic voice of the church breached and even wounded. In other words, we've been losing our blood, and the life that we're meant to carry in the prophetic voice has been being siphoned, by vampiric spirits, whether it be of lust, of immorality, of idolatry. And so there's something that's been, I think, in the demonic realm has mixed with some of the prophetic life of the church, and it's time now, I think, to recover the purity. It's interesting, if you bleed out, you can no longer effectively carry nutrients to the rest of the body. And I think that's part of what this represented is that, the breach in the prophetic. And by the way, the pointer finger can often represent the prophetic. So it was the breach in the prophetic voice of the church where the vampiric spirits, the seduction was drawing it out. So does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And I mean, this is a post that I'd done a couple of weeks ago, was citing these two issues that seem to be running concurrently right now in this sanctification process. One is the sexual immorality, which goes to the spirit of Jezebel, but this other is prophetic integrity that's being highly questioned. A lot of it was sparked because of what happened with IHOP KC, and you dig into the roots of that ministry and their prophetic history, it just, like, everything really began to be questioned, and rightly so, because it has caused a major examination of practices, mindsets, protocols that the Lord is saying, this is not sufficient. Some of it's not even biblical.
Yeah.
And some of it has been highly destructive. And so, yes and amen. And it does show this is a spiritual reality. It's not just because of flawed leaders who manipulated things. We're talking about demonic spirits that have infiltrated the camp, that have caused some of this. And obviously, everyone has a choice. Every leader has a choice whether or not they're going to partner with that or not. And unfortunately, as these exposures are coming out, we're finding many have yielded to those seducing spirits And
Yeah.
even God-given gifts have been infected. They've been contaminated. So, uh, yeah, it's right on. This is what we're seeing. It's what we're having to deal with.
Yeah, and I think a lot of unfortunately, what I felt even from that dream was that the prophetic voice of the church has been diluted, and there's been so much, mixture in it that we've really lost the plumb line of righteousness, and so yeah, we're not as effective and potent prophetically as we should be, and so that's what God he's got to purify it. I mean, he has to, and so this is part of what he's doing, and it's painful because we know many of the people, and we know we've got interaction and connection, and we love these people, and yet God's saying, I'm bringing down a plumb line now because there's been a breach and I have to recover it. I have to repair this breach because the next generation, the future depends on it. What I'm
Yes.
building in this hour depends on it. The
Yeah.
way I want to pour out my glory for the days ahead will not be able to be contained in what has been, because there's been such a breach, such a diluting of the potency and the power of the prophetic voice. And so now God, he's taking it to task. He's coming to his temple, he's coming to his house, and he's bringing refining and cleansing. And we just have to recognize that's the hour we're in right now.